Good evening. Welcome to another podcast in Live of Drama is Life. I am your host, Theresa White, and we have some great guests with us. We have Sierra Dickerson. You met her on our last episode with regards to what the importance of a team. And here is another team member that we have, Alyssa Mitchell. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves again and tell you their position here. And our conversation tonight is going to be about what we all think we need and some of the issues that come up with it. Insurance. Do you got some? We're going to talk about it today. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, starting with Sierra. And then we'll get into our topic tonight.
My name is Sierra Dickerson, and I am the office manager here.
My name is Alyssa Mitchell, and I'm the brand and marketing strategist and the case manager here at End Time CCS.
Yes. Do y'all know what CCS stands for? Creative Counseling Services, because we're creative. We do drama therapy here and the expressive arts to help people find the help and healing that they need on their journey. So, with that being said, sometimes there are issues to getting to that help. You can absolutely want help. Have you ever, I know it's time. My arm has been hurting for 15, months, and I think it's finally time to go get some help. It's finally time for me to go and talk to my physician. And then you go thinking that everything is good because you got insurance, or at least you got a card that says you have insurance, or you think you do, and you present your card and you get some backlash or some issues that show up because things are not always or they didn't come out as smooth as you thought they were going to be. So we got some terms we're going to talk about. Copay, deductibles. You heard those terms. You don't know what that is. We're going to talk about that tonight. And then we're going to talk about in-network, out-of-network, single case agreements, EAPs, and those kind of things when it comes to insurance, because we want you to get the help that you need. And so as you hear our branding marketing strategist and our office supervisor, they have had some questions from potential clients. They have had some run-ins. And some walls that have come up with insurance. So first we're going to talk about a myth. The first myth is that insurance pays for anything that you want to go to the doctor for. And they will pay for all of your expenses. That is a myth. Wish it was the truth, but it's a myth because it depends on your plan. But before we get deep into how the plans work, I want Sierra to share a couple of questions that she's had with regards to insurance.
One of the main questions I get is, what is the difference in-network and out-of-network, and why are you not in-network?
Let's talk about it. Alyssa, do you know what in-network is and out-of-network? Do you know what that means?
I believe so. So in-network is when your insurance provider will cover whatever provider you're trying to see, right? Within the network that they're going to pay for. And then out of network is when they're not, what's the word? Partnered, right. That's a good, yes. Partnered with the provider.
Really close answer. And I say that because that's really what happens when I will start off by telling you, when I used to go to the doctor and I had insurance through my employer, I just knew if I present my insurance, my insurance gonna pay for this. I'm here for my checkup, my yearly, month, whatever it is. And I present you with my card and I'm gonna go see the doctor and I don't think I'm nothing else about it. But then later on, I get a bill. And I'm like, what is this bill for? And then sometimes, y'all, it's not $20. Because I'm okay, I can pay $20. It'd be hundreds and thousands of dollars, depending on if you went to the emergency room and so forth. It is because of those terms, in-network or out-of-network. In-network, which is really close to, as Sierra said, partnership. In-network means that the healthcare provider or whoever this person is has decided to sign a contract with your insurance company to say, yes, you can pay me that fee and I would do all of these things, all of them, this 200-page list, and it really is a long contract because it's insurance, right? And this person is, so say for example, if you have, what's insurance? So you have Geico. So we'll use a car insurance. We'll talk about something separate from health insurance right now. So you have Geico and you call and say, hey, I got in a car accident. And I need you to go ahead and pay for this, right? They're gonna ask you all the questions about the car, where you was, and all that. And you're like, okay, and the place I want to go to is, ABC car. And they're gonna say, well, no, they're not in network. And you like, okay, right. What does that mean? That means they have not signed a contract with us to say that they will take the fee we're willing to pay. It does not mean we won't pay. It means they won't take the fee we're paying for. So say ABC is saying it's going to cost $2,000 to fix this vehicle, and you're only willing to offer me $1,200. No, ma'am, no, sir. We will not take $1,200 for a $2,000 job. So then your insurance will consider that they won't take our fee, and they haven't signed a contract to agree to take that fee every time we send somebody to them. So then they are considered out of network. Out of network simply means they have not signed a contract to agree to take our fee. They don't tell you though. So we talk about myth, lies, and surprises. What they don't tell you is that out of network can still be covered. You still have a right to choose an out of network company, provider, healthcare person, because that just means they don't have an agreement with your insurance company for a certain fee. But because it's your plan, you're paying for the premium. Generally, if your insurance or your company may be paying for half of it, and you're paying for the other 50% or however that works, you're still paying for this premium. It's still considered your plan. So if it was considered Alyssa's plan or Sierra's plan, it's still their plan, and they have control of the plan. One of the myths that insurance that I have found as a healthcare provider is that people think they don't have control over their insurance plan. I have to just do whatever the insurance people say. That's not true. It's, again, the same way if I was paying somebody to do a job. If I'm paying Alyssa to do a job and she's saying, well, I'm not going to do it that way, I'm going to do it this way. Well, wait a minute. No. If I'm hiring you to do something, which is what you're doing for an insurance company, you're hiring them to cover you for a service. But I want you to put, if you're watching this on one of our social media sites, I want you to put a 1 in the comments if you have ever got a surprise bill from an insurance place or from insurance. You've ever got a surprise bill and looked at it and was like, I thought my insurance covered this. And then you tried to call wherever you called to go get that service, or wherever you went to get the service, and you called and said, oh no, insurance said that's your responsibility. Put a 1 in the comments if that's ever happened to you. I'm put 1, 1, 1, 1. It ever happened to you? You ever got a surprise bill? You ever got a surprise bill?
Oh, yeah.
And surprise, it's your bill.
Your bill.
And I say that because then people are frustrated. And then you have a question. The one question that comes up is, then what's the point of insurance? Can somebody, so one of my ladies, one of you guys tell me, what's the point of insurance?
They are.
Why you laugh?
Because the point of insurance doesn't always follow through.
What does that mean?
So sometimes insurance is supposed to keep your, if it's car insurance or health, it's whatever that is at the tip top of its game. It's supposed to either help you get tune-ups or help you stay insured in case a natural disaster happens. Whatever the issue is, it's supposed to help you. But insurances are a separate entity by themselves. They are a business or corporation as well. So they kind of get lost in the money grabbing. They're like, as long as you're paying your deductible or your premium and I don't have to pay out, I am making more money. So they oftentimes will try their hardest to say no to making any type of contribution to you in that situation. They for sure would rather just tell you no in most situations and save their money because you're still paying in regardless. You're still paying that premium.
Myths lies, and surprises. The point of insurance. What's the point of insurance?
I don't know.
And how many of us are like that? When they sold it to you, because they came to you and said, "Hey, you need insurance. You need health insurance. You have to have car insurance, or it is illegal to not have it. Right? It's illegal to not have some of these policies. You can't drive a car without being covered.
Yeah.
So the point of any insurance company is to cover you.
Yes.
In the case of a claim, what they call a claim. A claim means something has happened that now I need you to do what you said you were going to do.
Our agreement.
Keep your word to me,
Yes.
right? The issue, again, because the myth that a lot of people have when they file, or what not file, but when they actually sign the agreement that I'm going to pay this amount and you're going to cover this. I have been on several phone calls, and I'm talking about hours of phone calls with health insurance companies, advocating for my clients for them to pay for a service that my clients already paying them to do. And they're trying to give all the reasons on why they should not pay for it. So when we talk, and when Sierra just mentioned, the goal is they're supposed to cover you. And like Alyssa just mentioned, I don't know what their point is.
It doesn't get there. It gets lost in the middle. I don't know how.
You know, what's sad though, that's frustrating. Because when I need help, when I need healthcare, when I need mental services, when I need whatever, I need my car fixed, I need my house covered because a disaster has happened, something's happened that I need now for the policy to do what I was told they were going to do. And now all of a sudden they do what we like to call in these fields, gaslighting. What? Oh, you didn't know that you had
To do this.
a premium or deductible? You didn't know you had a copay? And so let me tell you what a copay, so we're talking about lies and surprises. So let's tell the truth about what a copay is. So we talked about in-network. That means I've signed an agreement to take, and for example, Anthem. I've signed an agreement with Anthem to take this amount of money for your members, that every time you send a member or every time a member comes to our agency to get services, we will accept $50 every session. Say that's not the case, so say that's what they offer. But your real fee is $150. But the insurance company is only offering you $50. They don't care about your education. They don't care about how many credentials or licenses that you have. It's only, as Sierra has mentioned, they have gotten to the place that now insurances have always been a big business. And that's exactly what it is. They're a business, and they're in the business of continuing to get money while they pay as little as possible so they can keep profit, right? So when there comes to be a point of like, now we're being called to pay, that's where the issues show up. So when people, they say, okay, well, we are trying to pay as little as possible. And sometimes they're trying to pay as little as possible. Most of the time, they're trying to pay as little as possible to the providers to do the service that you need them to do. And so at times the healthcare providers, your car people, your house people, whoever, looks like the bad guy because what is called out of network, because no, I won't sign a contract with them for $50 when the fee is really $150, or I won't sign a contract for $1,200 when the fee is really $4,000. And so then they'll say, oh, they're not a network. And so that's the term that they cover with all the people that they call, and people think, oh, I can't use that person. Next person, I'm gonna go use the person that has taken the $1,200, which means that business is losing money while your insurance company keeps putting money in their pockets, your money in their pockets when they're not covering what you want. Because the person that you really want to maybe is the quality car person, the quality physical therapist, or the primary health provider, mental health provider that you want to go to, they don't want to pay for the quality service. And so that's really frustrating to be on both ends, to be the person who needs the service and be the one that knows you can provide the service. But the person that's in the entity that's in the middle, as Sierra has mentioned, is your insurance company. And so when we talk about copays, a copay is saying, this is what you are going to pay along with me, like a co-partner, a co-owner. We're doing this together. I will pay this amount, you will pay this amount every time we have a service. And you can agree, whether you know it or not, when you sign your policy, you agree to whatever they say your copay is. If your copay is 10%, that means 10% of whatever the overall fee is your responsibility. If you didn't know that, surprise,
Yeah.
because now you got a bill. Or when you show up to the doctor, show up to the mental health professional, or you show up to the counseling agency, they say, hey, you have a 10% copay, which means you owe 10% of whatever our fee is, or 10% of whatever we've contracted with that insurance company. If it's that $1,200, you owe me $120. People are like, oh, I didn't know that. I wasn't ready to pay $120 right now. Or I don't have $20 to pay you every single appointment. Which in the time that you sign your insurance, it sounds really good, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound good, Alyssa? You only pay 10%, we pay 90%. That sounds good, don't it? And you're like, okay, sure, that's wonderful. Because if something happens to my house, something happens medically, I only got 10%. But 10% of 10,000, 10% of 30,000, 10% of a 50,000 is a lot of money. And 10% of not having it is 10% of not having it. And so, yes, you can say that sounds really wonderful at the time you sign it. But then at the time you need the service and you go up to the provider, you go up to the office or wherever you need to go to get that service, they say, in order for us to see you, you got to pay your copay first. You owe us 10%. You've agreed to 10%, which sound, again, to some people, that's wonderful. They can afford that. Everybody can afford 10%, 20%, 30% copay. Deductibles is the amount. This is where people really get caught. They don't, what's a deductible? That is saying, this is your responsibility to pay. You pay this first, and after that's paid, then your insurance will pay for services. So again, put a 1 in the comments if you have ever been told you got a deductible, you had no idea you had one. I've had insurances where when I looked at the bill and I was like, why do I have $1,000 bills showing up? And then I've called, they say, oh, that's your deductible.
That's all you.
Well, what is a deductible? Because you didn't explain that to me when you sold me the policy.
Right. They just threw it on the line at the end and you signed it. And you're like, deductible, that doesn't sound too bad. It's probably just them taking money away from the fee. No, it's not that type of deductible.
What type of deductible is it?
The one where you have to pay, not where they give you a discount.
Insurances will tell you, I would cover all of this, A, B, and C, and D, and E, F, G. Once you pay this fee first. So similar to a copay, you pay this amount and we pay this amount. Copay is we pay the service together. Mm-hmm. You pay your portion, I pay my portion. A deductible is you're paying all of it up front first. So if you have a $2,000 deductible, you need to rack up enough service and you are paying $2,000 out of your pocket before insurance will even look at paying anything.
It almost seems like you just need to have a savings account specifically for your health needs.
Yeah. But you can get in trouble for not having health insurance. So you either got to find the worst health insurance plan that doesn't cost much and then pay out of pocket, or just have the headache of health insurance. And most people just have the headache of health insurance because it's a headache.
And it's a headache for the reason that is what it is. It's a business. Their business is, I'm going to play on the fear of you.
Yes.
Their purpose is to, and I know that sounds so like cynical, but that's really what it is.
Yeah.
They make money off of your fear. The fear you're gonna get in an accident, and they say, well, we're gonna just in case they exactly. Make money on the what ifs. What if there is? And there's sometimes that you have situations that happen. There is tornadoes, there are storms, there are car wrecks. Mm-hmm. You got to go to the doctor, right? So they play on that what if. What if this happens? Then you want to make sure you're covered. What if that happens? Then we'll pay for it. And again, they tell you that you're paying this in hopes that I didn't pay all this money after all these years. And sometimes people pay money This is what's so frustrating when we talk about the lies and surprises, because you could have no claims, no issues, no problems for years, whether that's with house insurance or renters insurance, house, whatever insurance you got, car insurance, health insurance. But the one time I do, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, your deductible. It's like, well, what happened to the thousands of dollars I've been paying for years?
You think that would go towards
What
deductible?
is that going somewhere? Oh, that was last year. You have a new deductible every single year.
The premium's just to keep your policy alive. It does not add up.
And at the moment you say, well, you know what, cancel this. That's exactly what happens. You have something happen tomorrow, you ain't got no insurance.
Cancel. Yeah.
And you've paid thousands of dollars into the pockets of these companies. I tell you, it's one of the smartest businesses ever in the world. Because they, unfortunately, it's a sad business too, because they pay, again, we're the ones who suffer for it. And a lot of times when we do get, as a clinician, as the mental health professionals, absolutely have gotten the backlash because insurance will not cover. And so then we say, well, it's your responsibility. Well, I ain't got it, click. And it's like, so then who's going to pay for the service that's already been given? And so the lies and surprises is that it's like, jokes on you, you get a free service and we're not paying you. And that's unfortunate for your doctors who have went to school, who have done residencies, who pay all this money, and they probably got loans out the wazoo to pay back. And they're not trying to be hard on they want to help patients. They want to help people that they got into this business for. But the myths, lies, and surprises of insurance have shown up. And so some providers say, you know what, next year, we will not accept that insurance. We will no longer sign a contract with you again because you have too many lies and surprises. And so then now when people call and say, hey, I have such and such insurance, you're like, no, we're no longer in network. There no longer is a partnership. There's no longer a contract with that insurance company. For various reasons. And we have, as providers, we do tell you we're going out of network or we are no longer going to take. And it sounds like people are saying that you take my insurance. That's a question that we get a lot. Will you take it? We take all insurances if they pay for it.
Right.
The question that we ask is, will they pay for it?
Yeah, is your insurance going to take our service request payment?
Yeah. So then your insurance will say, well, In-Time Creative Counseling Services is not in network.
Right.
And then you think, well, that just means, okay, then I can't get services. And the good surprise to that is that's not true. That's a myth. You can still get services covered even if it's not an in-network service. Because then you can call and say, yeah, they may not be in network, but I still want to use them. And guess what? As you being the owner of the policy, you have a right to say that. Will they tell you that? No. Do they want you to know that? No. Then they're gonna say, well, Teresa, well, Alyssa, well, Sierra, that means you're gonna pay more money. You're gonna pay more out of pocket. So then they put fear in, again, working on fear in you that you're gonna pay more money. So don't you use that provider, use one of our providers, ones that have agreed to our $50 for the service. And I'm not knocking people who have agreed, because again, I take insurance. I take some insurance companies. But it makes it really difficult for people like you, people like me, to really get up the services that we desire, that we absolutely need, because the real person and the real culprit and villain and issue in the situation is insurances. But they do what they like to do, triangulation. You ever heard that word? Triangulation is something where it's like, where a child would be like, well, mommy said I can go to the dad. And then go to the dad and say, well, mommy said, if you said I can go, I can go. They never talked to each other. So then they're mad at each other when the real issue was the child being dishonest about who said what. And the other issue is that the parents haven't talked when they're the ones who control the decision. So with that being said, insurance will be like, well, nope, they said, that person said this, they won't take our insurance. Then, this person said that. And the issue is you're pointing at the wrong person. You're angry at the provider. You're angry at the client. When the real culprit and the real issue is the person who's causing the discord. the one who's not being honest in the situation, and say, actually, we're the ones who won't pay. We're the ones who's making it difficult we won't send a check. We're the ones who's delaying. We're the ones who won't answer the phone. How many times have you been on the phone with an insurance company and it's been like 2 seconds? Never. You've been on the phone with insurance and it's been 2 seconds? They say, oh, and listen, you need some money? The check is on the way. Very, very slim. Even if it's car insurance and it ain't even your fault. You got an accident, it's not even your fault. But I still got to go through a lawyer and a rigmarole and call them and you want to know so that you would get tired and you'll give up and you won't demand payment. I'm telling y'all that it's frustrating. So when people call and we try to educate, and I definitely want to educate you. I definitely want to educate you because that you absolutely have rights. You absolutely have a right to demand that your insurance that you are hiring to do the job that they're supposed to be doing, paying for your service, to pay for service. And when they say, well, no, we can't pay for that, you have a right to say, can I speak to a manager? The same way you would do any other business. My sound chain right? And you saying you won't fix it? Let me talk to the higher person, the next person in charge. I won't talk to the general manager. That doesn't work. I'm going to file a complaint against your business. It's a business. So the same thing works for insurance. You said that you was going to pay for A, B, and C, and you won't. Talk to the manager, please. Please explain to me what's the problem with working with this provider, that provider, this hospital, whoever. What's the issue? So, and sometimes because people don't have time to sit on the phone 2 and 3 hours or 30 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating, sometimes it really is hours, then it's like, they won't take the time to really advocate for themselves. And sometimes your providers doctors are trying to do surgeries and they don't have time to be on the phones either. And so they have to actually hire somebody just for billing and calling insurance and doing all the things that take all the time that should just be simply easy. You know what we do. Healthcare is a profession since the beginning of time, right? Like, almost the beginning of time. You know that people need their services paid for. And you know that we are medical professionals. You can absolutely, our licenses, our degrees are public knowledge. We can't hide the education that we have. You can absolutely look our name up and see whether we are valid licensed clinicians or not, whether your doctor has an MD or not. So it's not like it's a secret whether this is a variable or a viable provider. The insurance companies absolutely know all of that information and will still find a way to try to tell you to do all the different things. So let me tell you a few things you actually can advocate for, and then we're going to end today podcast. So you have a right to, again, ask for an out-of-network provider, and they still have to pay. Now, with that, you may have a little bit of a higher copay or a little bit of a higher deductible than an in-network provider. For example, an in-network provider deductible may be $1,000. Out-of-network may be $2,000. An in-network provider's copay for you may be 10%. Out-of-network may be 15%, 20%. So it means it's a little bit higher. And again, that's also strategic. You also have a right to ask for what is called a single case agreement. That means this is an out-of-network provider, but I still want to use them. Can I get an agreement? Single, me, myself, or my child, or whoever's the person I want to get help for. I want to get a single case agreement for this provider. So if you agree to pay this provider without having a huge contract as you would in network. So it's kind of like a side way to get a contract with a provider to pay for your service. So you can absolutely, and I say that because we can't, as providers, ask for that on your behalf. You have to ask for that for yourself. If you want to go see a gynecologist, you want to see a physical therapist, you want to see a heart doctor, a medical professional, you want to see a psychologist, psychiatrist, a mental health therapist that's not in network, you can say, this is the person that I want. This is why I want them. I want a single case agreement, please. And then they will do what they need to do to get a single case agreement. And even our state, federal insurances can offer a single case agreement, like HIP, Medicaid can offer single case agreements as well. You also can ask for what is called EAP benefits. A lot of insurances do what is called EAP, which is employment assistance programs. If you have an employment program, a lot of times they don't tell you this either, that your benefits, if you have an insurance benefit or healthcare benefit, most businesses offer what is called EAP services for their employees, which means if you go to a therapist, they will pay for a certain amount of sessions on your behalf. So 3 to 5, some people pay up to like 5 to 7. The most I think I've had somebody pay for EAP service for a client is like 10, which is a really high number. But imagine how much you can get done in 10 sessions. I can, in 3 to 5, I can see whether this person is a good fit and it's no cost to me. If you don't work out, I can go to a different provider. And you get those the same way deductibles roll over every year. You get those every year. And how many people knew that? When I was working, I didn't know that. Did you know that before that you had EAP benefits? Was you ever told during benefit orientation time? Was you ever told during benefit orientation time that you had EAP benefits at times?
By you. And my insurance class was very, very descriptive, but never in the real world.
Something's wrong with that.
Yeah.
If I'm the employer, why would I not? I tell you about your health benefits. I can tell you have dental.
Mm-hmm.
We cover, you have Aflac and whatever else we offer. We offer PTO and all these things. Why would I not tell you that I will cover you to go see a mental health therapist and you have 3 to 5 sessions a year?
A year. That's why, because you get free services annually,
Mm-hmm.
and they
But as an employer, I should want my providers, I should want my staff, my team to be well.
Right. Yeah. It's a weird. It just A to B doesn't make it there somehow. It's like
The math ain't mathing, y'all.
it just doesn't make sense.
It don't. The math is not mathing. So with that being said, we need a part 2, I know.
That's what we're gonna have to do with this one.
We need
You ask a couple questions and we'll get back to you in part 2.
I love that. Yes, so please put insurance questions in the comments because I want you all to know that people are not trying to say, no, we won't see you.
Right.
No, we won't work with you. But what they are saying is we don't want to work with your insurance. We don't want the headache that they try to give and push back on the providers because they don't want to pay. And because we have the heart that we have to be service providers, because we're healthcare providers, we don't want to deny somebody absolute need when they're in crisis. We will absolutely not turn you away at crisis. But we also, it's like, but your insurance don't even want to pay for that sometimes.
Yep.
And they tell you, my last thing, they'll say, you have to diagnose Alyssa. You need to tell us what her problem is. Why do you need to see her? And how many times do you need to see her? And why you need to see her that often? First of all, we're the ones who went to school. We're the ones educated in knowing what the clients need. You're the insurance company. You're not educated in what we're educated in. Just do your insurance job and let the healthcare providers do their job. The car people do their job. They have been the mechanics for years. They know what it takes to get a car fixed. Let them be great at their job. You be great at yours because you clearly are doing a wonderful job of not paying for service. So yeah, with that being said, we have to do a part 2 to the truth about insurance. Myths, lies, and surprises. We are not telling you not to have insurance. We know that absolutely there are some people or some cases where you have to have it to drive. It's illegal. You'll go to jail if you ain't got it. Get insurance. But ask questions. And so maybe on part 2, we will tell you what questions to ask your insurance company. And then you also ask us some questions and we'll answer those too. It's a lot to, as they say, big farm in healthcare, big insurance is one of those issues too. But we absolutely are here to serve our clients, and we want to do the best that we can. And we know knowledge is power, and consent is what we go by. Informed. We want to tell you what you're getting yourself into, and we ain't trying to hide that from you. So surprise bills. And so we'll talk next time about good faith estimates, some questions to ask your insurance, so that you can be in a better place to pick a provider that is best for your needs, not the needs of your insurance company in their pockets. Thank you. And you see head nods. Yes. For those who are watching us on our social media sites, absolute head nods. Those who are listening to our podcast on Spotify, on Apple, please download, share, like, subscribe, so you can find out about more great topics that we're going to talk about, because it is time to deal with your mental health. And we want to make sure that every block that gets in the way of that is removed. You guys have a blessed and beautiful week. And we'll see you next time.